think that's what the Western people are doing nowadays. I mean, ever since the war broke out, we've been just enjoying this blood sports. Well, and our it's well from our many think it's like free of charge, but I mean billions and billions of our dollars are going to fund this blood sports, so it's not free by any means. Nothing's free in life, right? So
Um, yeah. So uh, again, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate that you had the courage. I will go as far as to say that we need more people like you to be vocal, to speak out, because it's a true massacre right now that's happening in the conflict, man. It's getting really bad, and the best way to describe it is a meat grinder. um what would you say to the Ukrainian diaspora in Canada, if you could gather all of them in one bunch, from the things that you learned to the things that you realized? What would you relate to them? What would you tell them?
uh, I I understand very well where the effort is coming from. Even the effort to glorify the World War II generation, but like I said, it's actually doing more harm to your cause than good by supporting the Russian narrative that's attacking Ukraine, that's labeling Ukraine as the Nazis, like I said, how I say it in my one of my videos. And I do think that we need to uh, work work to fix the problems that's happening in our country by our country, I mean Canada and the United States. Because if you're not strong, if you're not in shape, you can't help Ukraine anyways. And sending all like billions of dollars and weapons to Ukraine, and frankly, I'm not even sure how helpful it is. I mean, I'm not a military expert, but basically, the message, the signals that I'm getting is that they're just delaying the inevitable. So, and Freeland, the Christie Freeland, she basically she's this symbol that represents the worst of the Ukrainian radical nationalist mentality, the inability to admit guilt, feel shame, and be sorry for for the atrocity that your ancestors have committed. And it shows because she refused to be. She's basically playing this Russian propaganda game every time she gets attacked, and to us, that just shows what kind of people the radical nationalists are. And frankly, I'm not even sure if they're actually like nationalists. Like they truly believe in the cause of helping and supporting Ukraine and making Ukraine better. It's if people are engaging in this kind of behavior, you can't possibly expect us the bystanders to be supportive of your cause.
Good. Yeah, so my question was, are you noticing Russophobia from the Ukrainian community towards Russians in Canada?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I'm gonna mention one incident that happened in Vancouver. That's the one of the most metropolitan city in British Columbia. It's like Canada's Seattle or Los Angeles. And the Russian Cultural Center, it's like their kindergarten crossed, Russian Cultural Center crossed kindergarten. They got vandalized with blue and yellow paint, so I think we know who did it, yeah, for lack of a better word.
Wow.
And I know that the Russian church up in Prince George, British Columbia, that also got vandalized. And also, of course, Russians retaliated by vandalizing one of the Ukrainian bakeries in Toronto, from what I heard.
Wow.
But for now, it's more like a prank. So thankfully, it hasn't gone down to any of the Bolden style like crazy bloody massacre
Mhm.
yet. But like I said, like I said about the Sikh separatism that's happening in Canada, politicians are actually playing with this tribalism fire. Like they're actually going to their rallies to in hopes of getting support for the in the upcoming election, which is a bad idea in my opinion. And we do have members of parliament playing with the tribalism fire. That's how I describe it in my book. They openly declare support for for example like the Jewish members of the parliament, they're all about supporting Israel, and uh, the Muslim members of parliament, they're all supportive of Palestine. So you see the pattern here, eh?
Mhm. Are you still seeing like Ukrainian flags and stuff like this hysteria as it was in 2022 in Canada?
Uh, Not as much as I did. I think people are starting to experience burnouts, but every once in a while you see these rallies and they get together and they pull out in wave Ukrainian flag, Europa flag, and chant Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slavas. So it's still happening from here and there, but I don't really think it as the I don't really feel as much enthusiasm as I did
Mhm.
at the earlier stage of the conflict. Well, I mean, conflict's been it's a 10-year-old conflict, but I'm talking about like the early days of the February March 2022 when the enthusiasm was like super high.
Mhm. Are have you noticed that members of the Ukrainian diaspora are they just screaming and shouting about this whole thing, or do you know if some of them and some of their children are actually going over to Ukraine to fight?
I did hear a story about a Ukrainian volunteer unit that went to Ukraine. They were about like 700 or 800 strong, but ah, and but so far it's more like just cheering for your favorite team in like I don't know NFL or NBA. I don't really think they're willing to fight for it, but they sure love like cheering for it, for lack of a better word.
I think that's the biggest thing that pisses me off the most is because you know there's the Ukrainian diaspora side, but there's also a side where a lot of the people that when the conflict started they ran um across the border to wherever they went, Poland, Finland, Ireland. They're all over the place, and they are actually the ones that are screaming the loudest. um and it's a huge problem because people are literally dying. The population is very tired, but yet these people that are clear and safe, and thank God they're clear and safe, I don't want anyone to die, but they are the ones that are um fueling the fire the most, man. Where do you think this conflict is headed? What do you envision in the next year or two? Like, is the conflict gonna die down? um is it gonna be like a frozen conflict? Like, what do you see happening?
Well, at best, right now the best scenario will be frozen conflict, like the Korean conflict. Like each side will finally feel that they gotta draw a line somewhere and uh, call it a draw because they can't just continue with this conflict. Although I guess the worst scenario will be Ukraine losing like uh, everything that's east of the Dnieper River and Odessa and parts of that region too, so that they'll be completely landlocked and basically they'll be under the mercy of well EU or EU and Russia, the parts they're occupied by Russia at the moment. And Ukraine is basically going to be a failed state, and I mean it's already becoming a de facto failed state, and
Mhm.
I'm sure you know it better than I did that they can't continue with this war effort without the Western assistance at this point. And they lost bulk of their forces that they had before the war.
The 2022 Russo-Ukrainian war has brought the ugliest side of humanity to the surface. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think you said in one of your videos, you were talking about this it's one of those history YouTube channel that turned into a war propaganda channel ever since the war escalated in 2022. It's one of those pro-Ukrainian channels that are just going raw on Ukraine side, no matter how bad things are on Ukrainian side, and they're just basically behaving like the I said it in my description too, like they're basically no better than the ancient Romans who were cheering as they watched gladiators fighting each other to death at the Colosseum. And so yeah, that's something that I really want people to realize that what we're doing right now, we're just enjoying other people's agony and suffering at our expense. But it's unfortunate not too many people know this, and even the ones that I've contacted in the hope that they might be able to they might be interested in hearing my opinions and thoughts, but they're just they're just going they're still focused on like on seeing this as a well. I think that they really are enjoying this as a sports. I hate to use that word sports, but to me it seems like they they're just enjoying uh, this conflict as a sort as an entertainment regrettably.
Yeah, it was chilling when you said that there's little that differentiates us from ancient Rome and the blood sport of the Colosseum. When you said the world is split into two, what do you mean by that? Do you mean ideologically? Do you mean politically? Like, what did you mean when you say that the world is split in two?
Well, I mean by countries that are taking sides in this conflict. I mean they might not be like sending like weapons and such, but I do see there's this a, uh, a gap between the people who are supportive of the Ukrainian side and people who are supportive of the Russian side. I mean, you really shouldn't be taking either side. You should be, if you want to take the side of peace, not the either of the two conflicting parties. That's and from if you if you look at the Western narrative, they really try to sugarcoat this as a fight for good, justice,
Democracy.
democracy. Yeah, you name it. And I think after the this is my personal opinion, but after the pandemic, we were really dying for some like fight for a just cause. Because then, unfortunately, we Canadians, we did throw up a little fight at the end, towards the end of the pandemic, like the Freedom Convoy. We had like hundreds of truckers. Uh, we have a convoy of truckers going to Ottawa. That's the capital city of Canada, and they held out a protest for a few weeks, but in the end, they got beaten down pretty bad by the government.
Mhm.
So we were so this one last ditch effort for at least some like normalcy or justice that got extinguished very quickly, and now they give us the new story, the Ukraine, the defender of Western democracy and justice, freedom, yada yada, and you know that a lot of young guys they actually went there to fight, eh? Because they thought they're doing the good thing. They thought they're in their opinion Ukraine is the side that's been uh, wrongfully invaded, or wrongfully mistreated by the Russian side. So they want to fight against Russia, but like many things in life, it's not black and white, and it's the so they give us the sort of it's a hope that this going to be it's going to be a quick victory and Ukrainians are gonna defeat Russians and they're gonna get Crimea back before Christmas of 2022 or 2023, and now they're just telling us that they're gonna keep on doing this for as long as it takes, and I'm asking like, exactly how long as long as it takes to do what, like to what we're gonna get out of it, but and it's just a conflict that's going on and on and on, and we're not going to find an exit anytime soon. But yet they insist on doing this. So I'm just I'm just asking a big question, like, why are we doing this? Like, is this really our fight? And I want people to wake up and realize that we are actually risking a lot more than what we think we are by partaking in this conflict.
Before I ask you the next question, do you know any Canadians, maybe Ukrainian Canadians or Canadians, men that have actually gone to fight and came back and shared their experience? Do you have you spoken to anyone like that?
No, I'm basically caught off. I won't even dare reaching out to them at this point. But I do know that they do have like these meetings once in a while. I think there was a meeting in Saskatoon. They had a guy who who fought in the war. I don't know whether he's from here or he's from Ukraine, but they do have people come over and speak about their experience, and as an effort to like keep the fire going, right? For like a better word.
Hmm. You're in the next paragraph in the description, and again, the description to your book is rather chilling, man. Which is a good thing. I write too, so this is a good description, man. In order to really for people to wake up. So in the next paragraph, it starts with, as both sides have their live factory operating at full capacity 24/7, navigating through the fog of misinformation is more than challenging than ever. What do you think is the biggest misinformation that we have in the West?